us. Thank you everyone so much for being here with our event today with Actors Connection and Up to Date Actor. Our hosts are here to give you guys some fantastic information about seeking representation. And so without further ado, I'm going to take myself out of the spotlight. I'm going to let Annie and Abigail introduce themselves and jump right into things. So Annie and Abigail, it's your show. Go ahead.
Hi, Glenn. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Happy spring, everybody. I think we went into Aries today. So, hey, spring's here. Um, I'm Annie Chadwick, the founder and owner of Up to Date Theatricals, and I'm a co-partner in this great endeavor with my beautiful daughter, Abigail Hardin, who created the Up to Date Actor from my years of paper-driven information and database research. If you don't know about the Up to Date Theatricals and the Up to Date Actor, we are more a comprehensive service for actors. We publish still paper-driven, sold at the Drama Bookshop, Theater Circle, and online, NYC Agent Directory, NYC Personal Manager Directory, the NYC Casting Directory. We came out with several years ago, the Southeast Entertainment region that covers the 13 southern states with agents, managers, casting directors, theater companies, and just recently came out with the LA Casting California, really more than just LA, California agent book. So that's one aspect that we do. And we're really thrilled about Up to Date Actor. That was launched late in 2019 before the pandemic hit. And the response to it was tremendous in that it kept actors connected throughout the entire country. We feel like it is one of the most comprehensive database services and also other features for the working actor. And Abby's going to tell you more about that. And then we'll pop right into seeking representation, which is always a topic everybody needs to address at some point in their career. Abby, tell us about the Up to Date Actor.
Great. I'm not going to say much right now. We're really here for seeking rep. As Glenn said, our goal here is that you walk away with information to start a campaign, regardless of what tools you want to use. We will give you some tips and also just tell you how some action that you can take to create a better campaign. And one of the key things to that is research, doing your homework and getting specific. You're going to probably, if you have a nickel for every time I use the word specific, you will get quite a bit of money today. But what the Up to Date Actor does is try to help you in that research. So we want to just try and make everything as simple as possible so that you can be informed and be empowered to take bold action. I'd love to know if you can use the chat to, well, first I'm going to put, if you're like, what is the Up to Date Actor? I don't know what this is. I'm going to throw in the website and put in a discount code. That discount code, all it does is it activates a 1 month full access free trial. And the difference is that without that discount code, our normal free 1 month trial just restricts the emails and addresses. So this way, with that discount code, you will have access to all of our over 20,000 industry staff database of agents, managers, casting directors, producers, publicity folks, projects currently casting, and audition logs, meeting logs, you name it. We basically want to be a one-stop shop for you, of just one place where you can take all of your get all of your information and also record and have access to tools to really help you set yourself up as a business. We know that you're a fantastic, wonderful, talented actor, but sometimes we all, especially artists, need a little push and help doing that business aspect. So that's what we're here for. So definitely, it's a risk-free trial, no credit card required, anything like that. And again, if you aren't interested, no biggie. We're gonna also just talk about ways in which you can do a lot of this research on your own, and again, give you actionable steps. But I would love to know, because it just helped me kind of frame some content as we go. If you are here, if you're familiar with the Up to Date Actor, if not, also would love to know where you are in the country, or if you're visiting us from another country, please use the chat and just let us know. As Glenn said, I'm gonna be very hands-on in the chat today, kind of answering questions. If it's a small question, I might just pop an answer right directly in the chat. If it's a bigger question that has to do with one of the topics that Annie is currently discussing, I might hold off and we'll make sure that we address it. Our goal is to get everyone's question answered. So we'll do our best. If a lot of time goes by and I haven't responded or we haven't brought it up, you can feel free to just mention it again. But that's enough for me for now. I'm going to screen share at some point, but I'm going to hand it back to Annie so we can get going on seeking representation.
Can I just
Thank
jump in with one thing really
Yep.
quickly? Sorry, this is something I forgot at the top. Just anyone popping stuff in the chat, just make sure that when you go into your chat box, I just reset the settings to make sure it was working. Make sure you have it selected as everyone, so that it goes to the group chat. A lot of these messages are coming directly to me. Sometimes Zoom does that where it automatically sends it to the host. If I see anything that comes directly to me, I will do my best to pop that stuff in the chat, but in the group chat. But you know, that stuff can get really cluttered really quickly. So just make sure you guys set it to everyone so that it sends it to the group as a whole and not just directly to me. And then just to touch on what you were saying real quick, Abigail, any questions that go in the chat, since this will be broadcast on our YouTube channel later on, as many of those as we can get read aloud so that it's available for anybody who's not able to be here today and then is following up on our social media channels to check this stuff out. So they can get the benefit of it. Yeah, it'd be super helpful for anyone who is catching the replay. So
yeah, and I forgot to mention it now, but just I put that discount code in the chat. I'll pop it in several times throughout as we go, but it's ACS2R4, and that's good for a month, so until like the middle of April. So you have a month to use it, and then once you do use that code, it activates a 1 month full access free trial. So you get all of the agent managers contact info. And my last little thing on that, why we think, you know, we're biased, but why we think the Up to Date Actor is great and what we pride ourselves on is we are the only company that actively calls and emails our database to update our information. Now, that being said, it's still a very secretive industry. People are moving all the time. So, you know, you will occasionally find a, you know, a bad email or something like that, especially email that's always going in and out. But we really pride ourselves on, we call and email the tri-state area agents every 2 months. We call LA every 4 months, and the Southeast every 4 months, and the rest of the country every 6 months, and Canada as well. So we do our absolute best for a small mom and pop family team, and not from us, but we really do strive to have the most updated contact info out there. So definitely make use of that discount code if you're brand new and have never had an account with us before. Take advantage of that. So enough from me for now.
Okay, everybody, this is what you came for. Tips on how to get an agent, a manager. So let me start off with some first steps that I hope you're already doing, but I want to remind you. We're very big on your thoughts, what you think about yourself as an actor. The Up to Date Actor site has a new affirmation every day of positive thought. And I want to remind you of that component. To build a career in any area, your mind is the foundation, the builder of it. So I encourage you to create positive mental beliefs about your talent. And really importantly, the worthiness of pursuing a performance career. Sometimes we don't actually give ourselves that permission. I want you to know your purpose. Do you want to make people laugh? Do you want to make people cry? Do you want to actually sell amazing products as a commercial actor? Really think about that. And then a very key tool that I work with actors on myself, writing in my book, to visualize the component of the dream career. Commit to your daily work. Partner with the universe, whether you call that the muse, divine spirit, God, yourself, whatever that higher being is, connect with that every day and have an unwavering belief in your talent, that you are worthy, 3 words I stress, worthy enough and ready for success. So here's an affirmation you can write down and use in this process of getting representation. I am so happy and grateful that I now have, sorry, I owned the wrong thing. Yeah. That I now have the new theatrical agent manager of my dreams. With their added support and belief in my talent, I easily book. And here again, it's what area you're concentrating on, and I'll speak about that later. If it's Broadway, off-Broadway, TV co-star, guest star, recurring, lead in a feature film, and commercial work in 2024. If you want to be more specific with that, you can say, I book blank number of jobs, earning blank amount by December 31st, 2024. So this is a mindset, an affirmation that you expect success, you're ready for it, you're worthy of it, and you're very clear on asking the universe, the higher power, what it is you want.
And I just popped that affirmation in the chat. So if you're,
Oh, great.
you can copy that down.
Oh, great. Second step, train with the best. We always continue training, working with coaches, even if you're not in a scene class or an on-camera class. That's how we give agent representation confidence that we are trained if they know who you're working with and if they are a prominent presence in the business. Number 3, there are what I define as 13 essential marketing tools. And Abby, you can put that link from the Actors Access listing those. You already know most of those. Headshot, resume, website, reels, self-tape studio. I can rattle it off. Good cover letters, notes. You also need a database of your professional contacts, internet presence, a website, social media PR presence, audition coach. I highly recommend that, especially when you're starting, and a quality bookkeeping system that we can help you with, or you can do your own spreadsheets yourself. But we've got to set ourselves up as a small business because it also empowers me that I am a business. I'm not just a hobby. That's a very important mindset. And also tax, speaking of taxes, we're in that season to validate, even if you're not making money, what you're spending, because then you can write it off in 2 or 3 years as a loss. If you do, all of a sudden book Law and Order and make $30,000 that year. Target area, define an area of concentration for the next 6 months. We are trained to do everything, right? But the more you concentrate, I want to move my theater career forward. I want to move my TV career forward, my film career forward, my voiceover career, my commercial career, commercial print. When you do that, that defines the marketing materials that you need. A commercial headshot does not always serve you in the on-camera world of film and TV, and vice versa. So by doing that, you also know how each of those areas defines the marketing materials that you have, the reels, the headshots, your resume, actually. And then the final point is continue to self-submit. When you are seeking representation and possibly your credits are not as competitive as you might want, but if you are consistently booking indie films, or a website series, commercials on your own, that gives a lot of confidence to getting an agent. And many of my clients, I'm a career coach as well as a performer. By doing that, they get representation because it says to the agent, this person is already booking, and I will take a shot at them. I have confidence. So those are the first steps. Once you're ready and have done those, then we're ready to start the campaign. The first step, I'm going to give you many of these, is to wherever you are. I think somebody was in Brazil. Are you? We're beginning to input international casting directors and agents, but I don't know that I've got Brazil yet. Working on it. You've got to know who are the agents or managers in your market. Atlanta, New Jersey, New York, California, Texas. There are a lot of areas now that production is increasing all throughout the country. So start looking at your home market, and you can do that through the Up-to-Date Actor. And Abby, I don't know when you want to show that.
Yeah, we'll show finding agents and such, like filtering them in a second, but I think let's keep going a little bit right now.
Okay.
I can tell you we don't have any in Brazil. So I think that is definitely outside of our again, we pride ourselves on trying to do what we do well, so we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. We're not global yet. We're getting there.
Uh, Besides knowing your market, who is in your state or in your tri-state area, you need to decide, am I going to seek an agent representation or a manager representation? And I'll quickly give you some differences on that. And we have great blog articles on that Abby can put in the chat. We're increasing our resources and blogs that are free on the Up-to-Date Actor. That gives you invaluable information.
I want to
So,
just real quickly, because there's been two questions that kind of pertain to this, so maybe you can kind of include it within this. Well, one, someone just asked, I was in the process of typing about resources like Annie was talking about, a resume and cover letter. We will be discussing cover letters a fair bit. Resumes, not so much, but I already put it in the chat once, but on the Up-to-Date Actor, we have extensive resource section where we give you tips on. So if you're really need some resume help, we have a lot of info on that, as well as headshots, cover letters, follow-up notes, and a lot of these 13 essential ones. So if you can do that free trial, or if you already have an account, if you use the main navigation in the upper left corner and go to resources, it's there. And then there is a tiered access to it that then paid subscriptions have a lot of examples as well of Annie's actual written cover letters and such. But there are a lot of tips. We also have some blogs that I'll put in the chat as well. And you can just check out our blogs in general. But then I do want to mention, someone asked as far as agent and manager of like, is there a benefit to having a manager as well? Is one better than the other? And so also about, you might be doing an agent representation campaign now, or a manager, or maybe you have an agent and you want to add that manager. So there's or you have an agent and you're not happy and you want to look for a different agent. So there's several scenarios.
Fabulous. Let me speak on agents and as opposed to a manager. When I first started my career in the early 90s here in New York, their managers were managers. You signed with them for 3 years. They worked through agents to get appointments. They did develop your career and were more hands-on. The way the industry has moved now is that many managers that are approachable are what I call a hybrid. They act like an agent, but they call themselves a manager. A manager can take 15, 20, 25%, whatever they want to ask for commission. Agents that are franchised with the unions must follow those guidelines, and it's now still 10% commission. Managers, we sometimes think a manager ideally is going to develop your talent. I don't see that happening very much. There are two now different levels of managers. They're managers that act like agents. Like I said, they get their own auditions, but they charge much higher commissions. They really don't develop, and actually they freelance. It never would be that a manager would freelance because their job was to introduce you to the industry. So why would they be freelancing that way? But many of these hybrid agent/manager types freelance, which also tells you something about they're really acting like an agent. I find that you need to be aware if you're going after a manager thinking they're going to develop your talent, that's probably not going to happen. So be aware of that. Agents, again, are wholesalers of talent, and they get you auditions and they negotiate contracts. Managers can negotiate contracts up to a certain level, but to have a huge contract, they need more of an entertainment lawyer with them. So that's a big difference. Also, one thing to remember, we think, oh, I've got an agent. I want to add a manager that's going to help me. Well, you're going to look at 25% probably or of your your total, if you're signed with them, of your income. But unless, if you're with even a boutique agent, they don't want to work with a manager that isn't their level or above, that doesn't bring something to the table. So if you're with an agent, you have to ask them, what do you think about adding a manager to our team? And if so, do you have any recommendations? Get their response, because they can say, I don't work with a manager, and if that's what you want, bye. I'm not interested in continuing with you. Same thing with the manager. Many managers don't want to work with agents because they're going to be double submitting, which is not always looks good for them or you in the industry. And they don't want to have to fool with letting the manager or the agent know, oh, I'm submitting her for this. Do you know? So you have to decide what area you want to go after. Many of the managers today, these hybrids, they represent across the board, and across the board means for everything. I find if they are a one person
A smaller
manager,
boutique manager.
small boutique, they are more positioned to get you commercials, voiceover, commercial print work than they are to get film, TV, and theater work. That's the hardest to get. And I'll give you some questions to ask anybody to actually know if that's a right match for you, considering what you want. You might only want film, TV, theater. That has to be up front. How well are you connected? And I'll give you some examples of that. So Abby, I don't know if that kind
I
of
think
long answer did that, but it is something to decide. Am I going after an agent or am I going after a manager?
Yeah, I think with anything in here, it's about being clear and feeling empowered in your interview to ask the questions necessary to make sure that you are entering into an agreement that is what you're expecting. Too often we get excited because somebody likes us, somebody wants to sign us, to work with us, and we just go with it. Read the contract. That should be like Glenn said, read you do, if someone's upset they didn't read the description of this event, if you get a contract, you need to read that before you agree to it and feel okay to have a conversation if there are some things in there that you don't feel comfortable with. We really need to take the power back. It's your career, and you need to make sure that you know what you're signing yourself up for as you enter into these agreements, and that it's what you want, and that you feel like that agent or manager is going to best serve, again, your focus for your career.
Absolutely. The next step I want you to really take seriously is to gather referrals and industry quotes. Referrals from other actors, casting directors, even a manager, open doors. That is the first step that you will quickly get interviews if you get referrals. Many times the clients, actors I work with go, oh, I feel nervous about asking somebody for a referral. That's your job. So obviously, if the person looks like you, that's not exactly right, because why would they want to add another person to the agency that is possibly be competition? But if whoever you're with, if you're in class, if you're working on a show, if you're familiar, have a good relationship with the casting director, ask them, hey, I'm starting my theatrical legit campaign for a new agent. Do you have an agent, and how do you like them? That opens the conversation and say, wow, would you be willing for me to use your name as a referral? You can do that with a casting director. Hey, I'm starting to seek new representation. Are there a few agents you would suggest that I could submit to? And then if they go, yeah, I like blank, blank, and blank, then you can, and if they don't say you can use my name, write them back and say, oh, that's perfect. Can I use your name as a referral? And go from there. That's amazing. That's incredible that you have to do that. That's the first step. And get quotes from, I'm going to read one cover letter that really is going to cover a lot of this, but get quotes from your coach, your teachers, casting directors will give you that when you audition for them. And we craft that in the submission note as well. So my third point is you need to now you're getting referrals, you're going after an agent, or you're going after a manager, and in what area. If it's commercials, that's a very different set of agents or voiceover than a film, TV, theater agent. So now make your hit list. And Abby and I both are high on actors. I think many of the actors I work with, I'm more excited about their career sometimes than they are. You can do all of this research. You don't have to have the up-to-date actor or me or anyone. We spend hours each day doing that work, but you can do all this yourself. And I'm giving you the steps to do that. So now create your hit list. Abby, I think if you wanted to show how to do that through the up-to-date actor, but basically you want to say, all right, if I'm going for commercials, who represents commercials? And in the book, as well as the up-to-date actor, when we call, we ask, are you seeking representation? And they will say yes. And we'll ask, is there a type or age? And we put that in, give you that information. So again, that narrows the pool down out of these 200 some odd East Coast agents and 300 to 400, 500 in LA, in California. It's huge.
And with that, we really encourage you, and we will, and I can show now if you think it's a good time, as far as how to find some agents that you might not be familiar with. It's one thing, and it is great if you have a friend who gives you a referral, but otherwise, how do you know? So we'll show you how you can find that. Wait, I was just gonna say something, and then but the main thing you'll see when we do filter is that there are countless agents, managers, especially here in New York, LA, in Georgia, in the southern states. It really everywhere. There's pretty much an agent in every single state in the country. Obviously it gets smaller, but how do you filter that down? And that doesn't mean that every agent is a good fit. We really are key, again, I think second time saying it, being specific. That means creating a list of targeted agencies, max 10. 10, that's it. Pick 10 of them and then go after them really, really hardcore. And we'll get into that, but find out if they're going to be at Actors Connection. Are they going to be doing a networking event somewhere? Make sure those 10, are they currently seeking representation? If you're a new actor, and there have been several questions, which we'll get to, about I'm an early career actor, I don't have a lot of credits. Well, then CAA should not be on your list of 10. You need to, your list of 10 is going to look different than your friend, or even your friend who looks like you or you went to school with. And that's why I've had to rein my mom back a little bit over the years of just being like, this agent's great and this agent's great, because people are just like, oh, what was that name? And just because she's saying it was great for one client doesn't mean it's great for you. So I can show you how we can get specific, but again, limit yourself to 10. And then give yourself 6 months to focus on those 10. If after that time, those 10 either aren't working, you didn't get the feedback you want, then we got to go back to the drawing board, see what's not working with your materials, or maybe your 10 were not right. So just wanted to throw that in there as well. Do you want me to show now?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, show how to start getting your targeted list together.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to do a quick screen share. While I'm screen sharing, it's kind of hard for me to monitor the chat, but definitely still use the chat if you have questions that are about the up-to-date actor or about what we're talking about, and we'll definitely get to it when we come back. This is my dummy account. It's not any real info. Quick overview. If you know exactly who you're looking for, you can just start typing it here and go to the agency, the person, or same thing if you know the project that you're looking for, you can just start typing and find projects current in general. But we're talking about, how do you find something that you have no idea about? How do you find agents, discover agencies that you might not have heard of? If you come over here to the upper left-hand corner of the screen and click on the main navigation, go down to database info, you'll see here we've got agencies and casting directors, managers, projects now casting, regional theaters, plays, authors, acting schools, and networking events. So we're going to focus on agencies today. this form that you're going to see, or this page, is pretty identical to managers. Obviously, it's just different content. So those are going to be the two we're focusing on. When you create an account, you have to declare a main market. You're not limited to that main market. It's just a default setting, because otherwise there's too much information to display immediately. So my main market is New York, but again, I can search for agents in LA, in Georgia, in Chicago, anywhere. So just a quick little overview. This is just a kind of quick view. You know, you've got the name of the agency, where they are, who they represent, if they're currently seeking new talent, and you'll see that there's this kind of blip in the corner that says signed in freelance and seeking. So just kind of, you can keep an eye out for those. And then also you'll see here upcoming networking event, and that means that somebody at this agency has an upcoming networking event. And we list the schedules for about 5 different companies. So you can then see any opportunity to meet someone that you're interested in. So as you can see, this is a really long list. It would take me a long time to just scroll and scroll. So I'm going to go up to the top and use the filters bar. And so for right now, I'm going to keep it on the tri-state area, but I'm going to say only show me agencies in the tri-state area who are currently seeking talent. Who I'm going to say who also have a networking event, and maybe I am interested in TV. So I'll do that. I also want to point out, you can use down here, use my demographics and skills. This comes more into play with when you're filtering for projects, because we actually tag all the projects with themes and keywords, but you can also use it here. So what it's going to do, it'll search who they represent or who they're seeking for things that match. Mostly that'll be age-based, some of demographics as well, of ethnic background and skills, if you dance or sing, that kind of thing. But I'm going to leave that as none right now and say apply filters and let that do its thing. So now you'll see that every agency here has an upcoming networking event and is currently seeking talent. So that right there is a much more manageable list. That's actually probably just over 10. And again, this upcoming networking event is what's limiting it greatly, but that's super important, because that means if someone's going to a networking event, they are 20, 30, 40% more likely, in my opinion, maybe 40 to 50% more likely to be actively seeking new talent. Because they're actively going to events, and they're actively looking at meeting new people. So now we can go and we can click on, do Avalon. We can click on the name and get more information. So this is a bi-coastal agency. That right there is more information. Here's who they represent, their submission preference, they're currently seeking, all of the staff and the divisions. Here's archived staff. So you can, maybe you didn't know that this person used to work there, or that they left. And then here are the upcoming networking events for the staff. And then you can also log any prior auditions and meetings. So that's just a quick overview. Also, lastly with that, if you see here, this little star is orange already. That means I've already added them to my targets. If I click that, it would remove them from my targets. By clicking the star and adding them to your targets, you will then receive any notification of any changes to contact info, to the staff, any upcoming networking events, any news articles, really anything that pertains to the company. And then I could do the same thing with an agent. I can click on the agent, and then I could add them to my targets as well. And now I'm getting specific. I'll receive notifications about this specific person. So that's just a quick, I'm going to go back real quickly and just show you how I could then, I'm going to take off networking event, and I'm going to flip this to California and do apply filters. And so now here would be the searching through California for agents who are currently seeking talent, and that they represent talent in the TV area. So that's, I don't want to spend too much more time on it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll pop back in and show you some more, but use the filters and get creative. If your list gets too small, then remove some of the filters and just kind of play around with it. There are a lot of news articles, especially for some of the bigger agencies. And there's a lot going on right now in the agent world. So especially with post strikes, mid post pilot season, the whole new framework of what film and TV looks like, theaters going strong. So it's a great time to really start this campaign. So anyways, I will review the chat now. And I think before we jump on, because I know cover letters is next, right?
Right.
Before we jump on that, I think maybe if you could address, there've been a few questions about early career, and is it too early to start a representation campaign?
Okay. So let's look at each area. Sometimes, again, we lump everything together and we're not specific. So I bet all of you can tell me what's the easiest representation to get. It's commercial and commercial print. Commercials need a lot of types, ages. They'll have 30 people the same type. Because again, it's a lots of times about how often you're seen before you book a commercial. But though that, if you are starting out, that's a great place to get representation and learn how to work with a agent. That's another aspect to all of this. If you have unique skills, if you speak 5 languages, if you are extremely short, extremely tall, beautiful, of color, or some specific elements that actually create a very unique type actor, then yes, go after film, TV, theater representation. But if you don't feel like that is the combination of your uniqueness, I would highly recommend that you start in the commercial world. Um, Commercial agents don't necessarily assign you, and this is somebody else wrote this in the chat. So you can freelance with 3 or 4 agents for commercials, commercial print and voiceovers. Theatrical, or we also call it legit agents, film, TV, and theater, usually won't assign you. So again, you can learn how to work with an agent and work with many in that area. And all of you could easily start there. Your marketing tools have to represent that. I still say commercials want to see teeth in that smiling in your headshots, and your reels need to be not just you crying and dramatic. It's got to be what you see on television. So for the commercial world, and it's every age possible. They're looking for that. So if you're starting out, start there. Or if you have extremely unique, holistic talent, you can seek for a theatrical. Yes, someone asked, what's the difference in freelancing, signing, and whether an agency will do both? Well, I just mentioned freelance means that I can have 10 commercial agents. I can have 10 film, TV, theater agents because I'm not exclusive with anybody. But if an agent asks you to sign, then you must read the contract, look at it. Even if you're freelancing, they'll send you a contract. You have to know if they're expecting to take a percentage of only the auditions they get you, or are they going to take anything you book? It's all different ways that you need to read the contract to see. So if you're signed, that means you're exclusive for the area. You could be exclusive for commercials, commercial print, and voiceovers with one agent that's signed, and you could be exclusive for film, TV, and theater with another agent. That's when the interview happens. You ask, what areas are interested in representing me for? You might already have a voiceover agent and be making money in that. You don't give them that commission. You'll say, no, I'm already with a voiceover, so it'll be others. So there's a lot to consider once you start this campaign, and then seeking the interview and what you ask, you're part of the interview. Abby, I'd love to pop on to the actual note, but is there anything else in that?
People are honestly asking some great questions, and I've been trying to keep them organized for when we can get to a good coherent
Okay, we
place.
can
Maybe
yeah.
let's do the let's do cover letters. So, because I think that'll also get people going a lot too.
Yeah,
And maybe we can talk about how incorporate some of that. Like someone asked a question about if you have published reviews, can that act as a referral? And I kind of responded quickly in the chat of, while it's not the same thing as a referral, meaning you're not saying so-and-so from the New York Times said I should contact you, but it still needs to be upfront, and
Right.
it's a great thing to lean on, a great time to do a representation campaign. So
right.
maybe we could just show a few examples of like early career, maybe halves, either new bookings or review something like
Okay,
that.
yeah, I'll try
Just a
that.
few, and then we'll make sure to get to everyone else's questions. I'm actually super impressed with the questions this time. I have to say, kudos
Uh-huh.
everybody there.
Um,
We're topic and we're good.
About PR on yourself. If you get a review in the Times, oh my goodness, throw that in that note. You can actually link it to the review.
Anything, not just the Times, but certainly the Times is great. But
Anything that complements your gets specific about your type, your skill, you with a project, anything like that. You can do that in what I call as a one sheet. You can do an overall sheet about you that says 2023 highlights, and we can put it all there. If you've just gotten some PR on a project, we can put that in the note, but you can also put that in other attachments or other ways to enhance your visibility. And what you're trying to do is give these agents confidence that, yeah, this person is at a bookable state. Yes, the industry is saying top things about them. I'll take a chance on them, even if you're starting out. Do you know you might have a marvelous review and be in your teens from wherever? That says volumes about you. So I'll give you some suggestions to that, but let me just give you 5 points that I want you to have in a good submission note to a seeking representation. And this also could be if you're asking a casting director for an audition. But the first thing, since the pandemic and even now, mail is not happening. You don't mail your head shop hard copies of that and a printed out cover letter. Really, we suggest that you do everything by email, and when we give you those emails, unless the agent has said do not publish them, that's the first step. If you know that someone has referred you to them and they say, look, they want you to mail it, then mail it and do an email. I think you've got to do both. Even if somebody is working in the office, we get, oh, wow, we go in maybe once a week or not even that, but we're working remotely. So your submission is going to sit there if they're not going in the office. Here are 5 points. You've got to have an enticing email subject line. That has got to spark somebody's curiosity. Oh, let me open this. You don't say Susie Smith seeking representation. Nobody's going to open that. We've got to tell something about you and your uniqueness, your age range, or what you bring to the table if you book something. So that's a really critical point. Number 2, what do you want? You want an interview to discuss representation. Don't be clear about that. That's what you want from this campaign that you're doing. Number 3, how are you most often cast? Type and age range. This is so critical, and there's a great blog on that on the Up to Date Actor about nailing your type. You want to give the agent or the manager, this person knows what they do best. This person knows how the industry wants to use them. And this is a most key ingredient in a good note. And it's also perfect for you to know about yourself and your career. Number 4, why are you ready to book work? So I've got to give them reasons why I am bookable. And that comes from, you've already booked work. It cooks for you can link them here to your reels in profiles, what casting directors have said about you, industry quotes, who you're training with, who you're currently studying with or have worked with, and obviously like reviews that the person was talking about. I need to give them every confidence that yeah, this person is already a working actor. Even if you're starting out, you can have a lot of this and provide that, even if you don't have a lot of credits that you think are enticing. And then 5, you want to close expecting success. So often, when I work with agents and actors, and they'll go, "Oh, I'm so appreciative of you taking the time to review my letter, and I'm so hoping that you will take the time to give me an interview or at least get back with me." Blah 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 blah. That means you don't feel like you're ready. You've got to close with, "I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to setting up an interview to discuss the possibility of our working together." That has to be the way you close.
That's
So, yeah,
and my only little anecdote I'll say is it's exactly like dating. And who do you want to date? The person who's like, "Thank you so much for going out with me," or the person who's like, "Hey, you should be happy to go out with me." So it's all dating. Expect success always. And just real quickly, while Annie's finding some more examples, I put in the blog a blog on finding your type. And all of these can be found on our blog, which is right there. But I'm just sending specific links. One on finding your type, and someone had a great question, Alessandro. I've answered it in the chat, but kind of, and Annie was talking to it a little bit about noticing some agencies are union franchised,
yeah.
and if you're not union, should you not reach out to them? The union franchise just speaks to their credibility as an agency. They're working within the parameters that the union has set out. It's just it speaks higher of them, and you shouldn't be afraid of submitting to them. And I added, we just wrote a blog a few months ago on being a non-union actor and submitting to union franchised agencies. Don't be put off on it. Yeah. So.
Okay, so you've got 5 ingredients that I want to see in a cover letter. I'm going to read you 1 or 2. This is from an actor who's early 30s, and he had a business career, and then really trained and came to me, and we crafted a campaign for him, and the doors flew open for him. But I want you to know that it takes time to really put into words your uniqueness and covered these points that I just told you. So I hope this will give you some ideas. So the subject line: athletic, Black, early 30s, courageous leading man, amusing and eccentric sidekick, Blue Bloods co-star. If you have recently booked something, if it's like a Walmart commercial or something, end with that booking info. So, "Hi, blank. My name is so-and-so. I am a 6'1", athletic, energetic, African-American actor based in New York City, who typically plays characters in their early 30s. I'm normally cast in roles ranging from charming, fiery, and rebellious to the vulnerable, goofy, and protective. After a recent coaching session, Anthony Abeson put it perfectly: the incredible thing about you is that you are both a leading man and can be incredibly goofy if you want to be. That is an incredible combination." So, do you see how we use words in the subject line to entice someone to open, and then we give more information about those? We expand on those types. Then he says, "My recent credits and updates include," and I like that in bullet points. If you put it all in a paragraph, my eyes get all scrambled. You want to make it as easy as possible for someone to see it. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 co-star on Inside Amy Schumer and Blue Bloods, currently shooting lead in an indie film that he is producing. Awarded Best Supporting Actor for an OB for a character in Sunspot, currently in the festival circuit. We can get those indie films credits that are out there in the festivals. That is enhancing, even if you're starting a career. Improv show at the Pit. Founded a production company, Sonoma Pictures, which is currently producing the project. Upcoming actor studio spring audition by invitation. So you see, it's a combination of things that we're telling them about the current credits. Then another paragraph: I continue to sharpen my skills currently working with Lisa Arundel and Anthony Abeson, as well as weekly boxing and stunt choreography classes. That's really critical because it also gives more information about how to cast this guy. Both Anthony and Lisa have been amazing at assisting me building on my craft and naturalism. This was validated for me in a recent callback for Blue Bloods when Kim Misha remarked, "Wow, so natural." I believed him completely before being booked for the role. So do you see how, again, we add on, we expand what we're seeing by giving a quote from a very noted casting director?
Can I interject a question real quickly? I kind of answered it. You might have a different opinion. I'm curious. But Amanda asked, is it okay to use self-tapes in place of higher quality footage to submit to agents?
Absolutely, yes.
But I just real quickly, I mentioned that you might want to wait until you get a response, but I did say if it garnered you a callback or, a casting director gave you feedback on that, this is when, yes, an agent needs to know that. So yeah, if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, obviously, and some of the others letters will show you that. That is a tremendous component in these self-submission notes. Say you are really funny, but you don't have any reel that captures that, but you've got a self-tape. So you can say, here's a recent self-tape that explores my comedic quirkiness, and you plop that in. You want it in the note, not having to go somewhere else to see it. It's valuable. I have clients that do self-tape reels that gives a range of what they do, and they're quick and clean, but they're really shot well, good lighting, and they are written well. Every self-tape is not as good as another. So you want to make sure that it's quality. And if it's a self-tape that you've done and it was 3 minutes, cut it down to 1 minute. I usually, when I look at
Less
these,
is more, less is more, always.
less is more. There's 1 minute in that 3-minute self-tape that's fabulous. Not all of it is. So that's
And
my take. Yes, Abby.
real quickly though, on that, because there is some hesitation with it, you do need to be slightly careful. Well, I think that cover letter that Annie was reading was from Blue Bloods or something. It's like, if you audition for an episode of Blue Bloods and it hasn't aired yet, you need to not have that publicly.
Right.
You get in a lot of trouble for that. And that's why I feel like there's a little more reservation with using them to casting directors, because casting directors are protective of, oh, if you shared this material, are you going to share my material, or that kind of thing. Agents are different because they are trying to get you work. They need to know what is the quality of the work you're submitting. So it's a little different, but you would definitely not want that public, just like on YouTube, especially if it's for something that has not aired yet. So that's all.
And sometimes a lot of indie projects, they actually don't get produced. The lower the level of the project, you're safer putting a self-tape in if it's never shot. But obviously, if it's one of the network TV shows, and this is a self-tape for Law and Order or Blue Bloods, you don't want to do it until after it's aired, and after you booked it. So let me wrap
last
this
little
up.
thing, and then I'm gonna let you keep going, just because these are ones there, and there's some great questions that I'm holding on to and for the next little section. But Angelica just said, is it okay to mention quotes of positive feedback from directors and casting agents if you received final callbacks but didn't book ultimately?
Absolutely.
And that's what Annie was just saying. So we kind of mentioned this in the beginning. You are your own PR agent. You are, until you reach kind of smaller name, until there are news articles being written about you of you're booking some guest stars, you just signed with this agent, you are your own press agent. And it's your job to record those things from any email correspondence, from any class that you take with someone. If somebody says, if the agent, manager, or casting director says something about your talent in a positive light, you need to write that down and run with it. So hear that.
Okay. Yeah, I've got so many of these letters that I want to, let's do this. Let's do this one.
Oh, and then while you're finding that, someone else asked in the chat, could you put the the subject example in the chat. I sent a link. We have in our cover letter section, there's a breakdown of the format and everything that Annie's talking about. So there's a link there, and you can check out that and a lot more examples of what Annie's saying.
So here's an actress that can play 18, even though she's in her early 20s. So the subject line, 18 plus TPY, to play young. That's a typical abbreviation. Edgy, bad girl with sweet side, new school drama, recent grad. So a lot of agents are looking for young talent out of preparatory programs or college that had actual an acting department. So here's what she said. Hi, my name is blank. I'm a recent graduate from the New School of Drama, currently based in New York City, but am available for local hire in Los Angeles and Denver. Very important if you can be a local hire in multiple markets. Usually I get cast as the edgy rocker, the sweet girl next door, the angst intellectual, or the conniving mean girl in teens to early 20s age range. However, I have a strong background in Shakespeare and am very comfortable in period pieces. So right there, she's given an agent everything type-wise they need to know about her. And it's how the industry has used her as well as her training. Some recent highlights include she gives 4 working on the indie film, filmed the pilot, recent film, the pilot for Track 7, directed by Sean Perry. And then she goes on to give more. So she's right out of school. Since graduating this May, I've been very fortunate to be in so many incredible projects, and I'm looking to take my career to the next level. And here's an important part for you young people building your career. This is a good way to say that. I've been cast mainly through industry connections and referrals, and I've made while studying in New York. Over the past 4 years, I've maintained good relationships with teachers. She lists those, and casting directors, so that they know here are people that she's worked with and that know her talent. She was also an intern at Henderson Hogan. So that again gives evidence to how she's bookable now. You can be an intern if you're starting out your career and you go get an internship. Playbill always has those on there. See if you can't, it's be tremendous information, and possibly the agent will want to work with you or give you a referral. I'm looking for a manager. She was decided on a manager that can help me take my career to the next level. Through my professional connections, you have been on my radar, and I'd love to get the chance to talk with you. I've attached all of her headshot and resume. Please have fun seeing my, and then she gives a link to the reel, a link to the website, links to her IMDb page, actors access page, recent self-tapes, and casting networks that does commercials. Looking forward to hearing from you. Let me know if there is anything else you would like to see. And you know, these people that I'm reading all got agents from these submissions. And they also had referrals that they went through. So Abby, anything else? I mean, there are tons that I could.
I mean, you could keep reading until the cows come home.
But
I think unless there's something that pops up for someone that's really specific, let's maybe move on, just because there's a lot of questions that you get to.
So one thing I know is early on, and there was a question that said, if you've emailed some agent twice and you don't get a response, what should you do? So here's the thing. We have to know how to follow up.
This is Tavon's question, just so if you're listening, this is
okay. We have to know how to follow up with anybody that we meet in the industry. So if you book a seminar and somebody said, yes, these seminars are paid seminars, they will have your resume and your headshot, and that's how they usually send you sides or know somewhat of your age or what type you are. It's your job after that to follow up the next day. Here are my reels. Here's my website. Here's my Actors Access profile. Here's more about me. Here's how I'm normally cast. Here's who I'm studying with. Here's who I'm coaching with. That's your job. And the same thing with you. Send out to the agents. I suggest that you wait 10 days before you follow up. And the key thing here is not just, hey, did you Did you look at my headshot and resume? I'm still interested. Boring. Nobody's going to bite on that. So what you need to say is, I hope you've had an opportunity to review my materials. I'm still very interested in interviewing with your agency. Since mailing to you, I have booked a commercial. I'm doing improv at the Pit. I had callbacks for so and so and so and so, working with coach so and so, working with casting director who said this about my talent. You want to give them more. You're not sitting around eating bonbons on the sofa waiting for somebody to call you. You're, what I said in the very first, you're continuing to go after your own work, submitting, so you know how this process works. When you get an agent, you continue doing that. You continue doing your work. So you've got to be able to say something back to them. Okay, maybe they don't bite then. Maybe you wait a month, 2 months, and hopefully you'll have something wonderful. And if you still are seeking representation and they are still on your top list, go back to them. I wanted to give you my latest career success. I am now I booked a co-star on so and so and so and so, or I'm in off Broadway in this, or I'm doing this indie film, or my film that I wrote is now in the festival circuit and been nominated and gotten these awards. Do you see? So then you are giving them more, and maybe after those, we're looking at maybe 3 months. If they don't respond, then maybe we don't, maybe we move on then. But your job to follow up, so that I've had clients that have done a campaign, and 6 months later, this agent, who's one of the ones they really wanted, comes back to them. You might
And
already
also,
have another agent.
on that, you might not know, maybe they have somebody exactly like you. Maybe they
Yeah.
liked you,
Yeah.
but they just were like, I don't have a place for you on my roster. 6 months, a year later, that person leaves. All of a sudden, they might need someone like you. So while you might not be sending them active follow-ups all the time, they need to remain on, a different hit list where they at least get your general updates. So general updates should be seasonal. You should have something to talk about every season, whether that's I'm starting a new class, I just got new headshots.
Yeah.
I took classes with X, Y, and Z casting director. I got called back, I got pinned, I got, whatever. You should have news. And again, even if you're not booking or getting callbacks, you can control that with other things. I'm working on my own solo show. I am taking, improv classes. You get the drill. So that person needs to be on your general seasonal update mailing list in essence. And but then it kind of leads into Laura asked a question of, if not just that, like, you haven't gotten a response, but if the agent actually said no. I think the big thing to that I hope you did in that moment, but we need to do in almost any time where it's a dialogue and not just a pure audition, is a rejection is an opportunity to ask for more feedback and to ask for something that is an actionable thing. So if somebody said no, I would then try and respond with, do you have any advice? Is there anything that, Annie, you're better at this as far as the words, but find out why, because then if you can find out why, then that rejection actually still gives you something. It gives you something to work on. Maybe your headshots aren't right. Maybe they think you need more training in a certain area. Maybe they think that, you're not ready. You need better reels. You need to take some classes. Maybe they think, you know what, it sounds like you really want film and TV and I can really only give you commercials. But it's your job to ask that. And then depending on what that answer is, if you take the feedback and 6 months later, you've gotten in, classes, you feel like you've gotten new headshots and you still want to work with them and you feel like you've really done your work, then that's maybe a chance to revisit and say, hey, I've taken your feedback and I've really been working on my career and I would love the opportunity to interview with you again. I could come in and sing 16 bars for you, or can I send you my new reel with some new material that I shot on an indie film.
Yes, absolutely. And there are other cover letters that I have of clients that have met agents at Actors Connection. And the agent says, you know what, you're a great type, but I suggest that you go and get improv work that will enhance your freedom with materials. Or then this actual client went and did that. And then she wrote her back, started immediately and wrote to the agent back and said, I took your suggestion. I'm now at the pit or wherever you want to work. And I'm loving it. That then says this person is somebody I want to work with. A good friend of mine, Randy Skinner, is a great tap Broadway choreographer, and people go to steps and Broadway dance to in essence take his class to show them that they're a great tapper. And he'll go over to them and say, you know, your pullbacks, I need those better. Give more attention, work on that for me. So then 4 weeks or 5 weeks, well, probably more than that, 2 months later, they're back in class. They still have the same level of the pullbacks. And he goes, they didn't listen to me. I was telling them what they needed. So like Abby said, this is valuable information, and really hear it. And if you need to talk it over with a coach and say, do you really think this is right on about me? And they go, yeah, I do. Do it. And go back to the person. Thank you for that. It's opened me up tremendously with everything that I do, whatever. So,
And then lastly, if they give you feedback and it really doesn't jive with you, if you're like, that really doesn't like feel right. If you talk to your coach, talk to some of the people, say, this is what they said. Like, I don't know. I know I'm not perfect, but it doesn't feel great. Know that sometimes that's them just using an excuse, you know, and you don't have to take that on. People aren't always honest, and people will always try and make it that it's your problem. But you know, try and really dig deep, look inside and ask yourself, is there a kernel of truth in there that's maybe upsetting me, but is true? Or is this just like, man, this person is just BSing me and get rid of me? And if so, take them off your list and move on. There are more fish in the sea, and you will find someone who is a good fit and will work for you, because that person, even if they said yes to you, might just keep you on the shelf and not do anything.
Yeah, we could go on about that, but this whole thing about hearing the feedback and analyzing it. But the common one is, oh, come back when you've got credits. You know, that is a real lame explanation. And I'm going to tell you how to. It's more about they're saying that about themselves, that they don't have the connections to actually get you auditions. They only can get auditions if people already have credits. Okay, so where we are, you got the interview. What is your prep for the interview? I'm going to give you a list of questions that agents will throw at you, and you need to have already thought through the answer. One of my favorite things, and actually I do a master class, and it's Thursday, and one of the assignments is to answer this question. What have you been doing lately? You've got to answer that question in 3 sentences. And no matter if it's what you are doing is setting up your self-tape studio, getting new headshots, and studying with Anthony Abeson or somebody else, you've got to be excited about it, be ready to tell them, and be passionate about your answer. It's not about you think, oh, if I say, oh, I just booked this and I'm performing here, that's easy, right? But if you're just building your tools, building your actual coaching, you're studying your skills, that is valuable. Got to phrase it like it's valuable and that you're really advancing your career. That could be one question. How are you most often cast? Sometimes they'll phrase it very oddly. What is your talent? So we've already talked about, you already have to be able to answer, how are you often cast? We've already said that needs to be in the actual note, and put attention to it. It takes time. Who are 3 named artists that you are compared to? Or sometimes they ask, who are you typed as? So have 3 people that people say, oh, you remind me of a young Audrey Hepburn or somebody. Have those, or somebody that's really close to you in your age. You mentioned you're developing a film. If you put that in your note, or you're developing a solo show or a web series or a pilot, you've said that. Tell me more about it, and where are you in the process? Be ready to talk concisely. Don't ramble. 3 or 4 very crafted sentences. You can do that, and you can practice with your friend on answering these questions. You need to have a list of casting directors that know your work, and you can give it to them or you can send it as an attachment. How comfortable are you with self-taping? That should be obvious now, but that's the way the world is. And many agents, before you interview with them, will ask you to self-tape a scene because they want to know what the quality is. Why are you better than the next 3 actors to walk in here? I think that is the stupidest question, but one of my clients got caught off guard when they said that. And, you know, a very positive answer would be, I'm in it for the long, this is a marathon for me. I'm committed to it. I know that I'm talented. I believe in my talent. I'm enough and I'm ready to work. Something like that. So here's another thing. So you got a business degree or whatever degree and now want to be an actor. Why? Okay, got to have an answer. Think about that. So those are some answers that will help you be not nervous in that interview. You're not in the interview to sell them. They're already interested. You're in the interview to give them confidence that you're ready to book and you know what your unique talent is. You believe in your talent and you work every day at it. So here are some questions for you to ask them. And this addresses a feedback from an agent who says, we're not interested, or you need more credits, something like that. There are 3 to 5 TV shows in my market. It could be Atlanta, LA, New York. And I'm a perfect fit for them. I'm really interested in being on it. Can you get me auditions for them? So you're going to get 2 answers. And this somewhat goes about the question that I was saying, oh, you need more credits. So one agent's going to say, oh, wow, yeah, of course I can when you have more credits. Your resume is light and I really won't submit you for those until I have more credits to work with. The other answer is, I have clients on all of those shows, have a good relationship with the casting director, and when the role is perfect for you, yes, I can get you an audition. So what those answers are, they're telling you where the agent's level is. It's not about you, it's about them. Where do they have connections? How well placed they are in the industry? Is it all about just you bringing all of this wealth of credits and they just kind of like get on the bandwagon and wholesale you? So be clear about that. Another question, do you freelance or will it be an exclusive representation, and for what specific areas? I've already talked about that. It's critical. What are your union affiliation and commission fees? If you're interviewing with a personal manager, ask them what their thoughts are about adding an agent to the team. And vice versa. If you're interviewing with an agent and already have a manager or are looking for one, you've got to put that up front, because I've had clients that actually have an entry-level manager, let's put it that way, and then a very well-established agent was interested in them. They go, oh no, whenever you get rid of that manager, come back to us. So that's a subject that has to be addressed up front. Okay, that's the interview. And Abby, I can talk about some points when you already have representation. I know there were a few questions about that an agent had sent them out 2 times in a year or something. And
yeah, there are 2 questions that kind of are very similar yet different that I think that we can certainly address. But I just want to, just real quickly before we leave the interview, just want to hammer home that the interview is the time for you to interview them as well. I know, Annie just read these questions and that should be self-explanatory and obvious, but I just feel like it bears repeating. They're interviewing you, yes. You are interviewing them. Do you want to work with them? Do you feel like they will get you the work that you want? Do you feel like they will be an advocate for you, or that they will actually submit you for the type of projects that you want? These questions that Annie read will help you kind of figure that out, but you have to, this is your time, this is your opportunity. And then the next opportunity is looking at the contract, understand what your clauses are. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, give me the right one, but if they do not get you, even if you're signed, if you do not get an audition, this is with a union franchise, meaning they have to abide by the rules. Again, if you're with a non-union franchised agency, then you need to pour over that contract way even more with detail, because they can write in there that with each job you give them a bouquet of flowers. I mean, like, they can write in kind of whatever they want because they're not affiliated with the unions. So know your contract, and especially if they're either if they're non-union or not franchised, you need to know what your out clause is. And what that mean, and this will lead into those next questions, is that if I believe the union one, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if they have not gotten you an audition in 6 months, that you
I
can
think
break.
they've reduced that now, Abby. It could be 3 to 4. I'm not, but in a
That you can
time
break
frame,
your contract,
yeah,
even
you
if you
can get
sign.
out. Yeah.
So
Yes.
you should not be sitting with somebody. Now, I don't know that I would break it after 3 months. You should have a conversation, and say, hey, what's going on? Why, I would love to audition so I can book for you. Is there something that's not working? Are my headshots not working? Have a conversation, and Annie's going to talk about this in more detail. But after that conversation, if things don't change, you got to move on. Again, there are more fish in the sea, and don't sit with someone just because it feels good that you can tell your friends you have an agent.
Yeah.
That's great that you can say that over a pint of beer, but if you're not going out on auditions, then that agent is actually hurting you, because you're also not looking for a new agent. So do not be afraid to walk away. It's really important. And that's why I feel like all of this is just like dating. It's just like dating 101, but know when you got to go. And it's the main barometer we have for that is how many auditions are you getting?
Yeah.
At that point, it's up to you to book the callbacks and to get, pinned and to book it. The agent's job is to get you an audition. If they're not doing that, then they're not doing their job. And you need to figure out what you can do. So again, someone else asked a question about being proactive. You got to be proactive all the time. This is your career. It's really not theirs. And no one will fight for you like you will fight for yourself. So it's your job to say, hey, what's going on? And what can I do to make it easier for you to get me auditions?
One of the critical things, and it's a big mistake when you get an agent early on, you stop doing the self-submission, you stop doing your work. And that is something you must hear that has to continue. The agent, if it's a franchise agent, they're getting 10% of the fee. You're getting 90. So you've got to do more than just sit around and wait for them to get an audition. You have to continue to get your auditions. That we go after this. We preach this about the up-to-date actor as a tool to do that. And I was so thrilled that one of my longtime clients just wrote me and said, she has a good commercial agent, the top agent. We've the other agents are freelance as far as legit, but she said, Annie, I got an email that there was a film that matched some of my key words, and
Great actor.
If you're the up-to-date actor, and I looked up actually the director, and she said, I wrote him a note of why, because we had an article about it. I think it was based on a book. And she said, I wrote him why I was very interested in auditioning. She got an audition and she just wrote me back. She booked it.
The lead.
All her. All her. And it's a great project. So your work has to continue this way. That makes the agent more interested in you. And the first thing I ask people that I work with as a career coach, I say, okay, do you have representation? How many auditions have they gotten you? And they'll say, well, they've gotten me, and they don't even know actually. In the last 6 months, I think 3. I go, wow, why are you there? Well, I just don't, I feel nervous about giving. They are not an agent. They've got you 3. Come on. I also have clients that are working with agents. I go, okay, so what is their talent? Have you asked for the talent report? No, what is that? The talent report is, and they have to give it to you, especially if you're signed. Some freelancers will say, no, I don't do that. But it is all the submissions in an electronic list that they've submitted you for. It will tell you how they're seeing you, how they're submitting you, what's the level of the project. It'll tell you the casting director. So you've not, if they have really been submitting you, and in like now, it's big time. I mean, the season is not as robust as we thought, but it's now we've got work. So they should at least have sent you in the month of March on 30 projects, at least.
Submitted, you're saying,
Huh?
submitted, right?
Submitted. And you see, you didn't get any auditions. Okay, why is that? What about the headshot? You go back to them. What about the resume? What about the reels? And also, maybe nobody knows you. So meet them at Actors Connection. Do your job to introduce your talent so that they go, oh, wow, didn't I meet her there? Wow, she's good. And they submit it. Maybe I'll give her a shot. So it is daily work to advance your career, no matter what level you are. And if once you're signed, you have to be a collaborator with the agent and not just a taker from the agent. You need to know how they want to work with you. If you are doing the self-submissions, which you have to, if you're coaching, if you're meeting people at Actors Connection, if you're in class, you need to give them that information. Some agents actually say, send me what you're doing every week. Some say, oh no, every 2 weeks. Some say every 3 weeks. That's your job to know how they want to work with you, how they want to get the information. If you see a project, like I was saying that my client saw and she was right for, you say, hey, I just saw that this project is a perfect fit for me. Let's go after it. I want to get an audition. And this is why. I know the cast, I know the director, I know the screenwriter. I did a show similar to this, whatever. They don't know all that about you. So that's your job to be a collaborator. Continue to look for work always. Ask for your talent report. Here's another thing. If you're in a market, Atlanta, LA, there's so much happening in new markets like Oklahoma, Texas, Mexico, right, Debbie? That so if you're gotten with an agent or making a pitch to introduce your talent in that market, don't go out of town because we love theater, but sometimes if I take a theater project regionally away and I think it's marvelous, it takes me out of the market for film and TV. And how much commission is somebody getting on a regional theater job? You might make $500 a week. So what's 10% of $500? That agent doesn't care about that unless that job and that show is coming to Broadway or off Broadway, and you can then say, he did this, here are the reviews, I want him seen. They don't care about that stuff. They care about film and TV in your market and other high profile jobs. So know that to immediately go out of town does not help you. And then, like Abby was saying, if you're with an agent, you get your talent report. Hey, they are submitting me. What's the problem? You go back to them and say, hey, I want to get auditions. I want to book work for us. What do I need to do to help you out? And whatever they say, do it. Or if you don't believe in that agent, you don't need to be with them. If they say, go get new headshots, and you go, oh, I already just paid for new headshot, ask them why. Go to a photographer and get the specific headshot you're missing that they want. Meeting casting directors is your job and helps your agent out no matter what area of concentration. And your marketing tools have to constantly be competitive and refreshed. So anyway, I hope a lot of this information resonates with you. It's how I know you can get representation. I'm positive about that. Even though we've been in a quasi pilot season, back TV's back, some films are back. My clients have been getting representation. I think that April and May is a great time to go after it because we're through that madness. They're reviewing their rosters to say who didn't book, who didn't get good feedback. I need somebody new. So right now is your time to do all of this work that we're talking about. And if you have the right mindset, if you really take to heart what Abby and I said today, you will get representation.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if you saw Glenn's question, but you basically kind of answered it right then and there, but about favorable times of the year. Historically speaking, this was the great after pilot season, which would be wrapping up in April. Yeah, which is why we did this in March, because it gives you a little time to get those marketing tools together and maybe really, locate your 10 agencies and then give yourself a deadline of mid-April to really start this. If you're prepared sooner, I don't think you need to wait, but give yourself that mid-April deadline to be like, okay, mid-April, I'm sending these things out. But do know someone else asked a question which kind of got answered about like, how do you know if you're not getting auditions? Part of it's just like time and whatnot. Yeah, know that at Christmas and the holidays, there's not going to be as many auditions, know that it is currently pilot season, but we're coming off of a double major strike that has definitely hampered what pilot season and production looks like. There have been a lot of articles lately, and this is something that on the Up to Date Actor, you just by signing up, you get it's a bi-weekly email where we give you all the news articles that we've combed throughout the last 2 weeks, and so that you can be informed on the most important industry news going on. And there's been a lot going on about how this pilot season kind of has been just completely unlike anything else due to the strikes. Production hasn't bounced back as much, but the biggest thing they're seeing with actors and casting is that there are fewer, and I'm going to be, don't trigger and have a heart attack yet. There are fewer roles. There are fewer lead roles. There are fewer series regular roles. Who that's affecting are the people who are at the tier of series regular. Because of production costs, they, the first one to do it was Bob Hart's Abishola, is it CBS TV sitcom, but that they like cut the series regulars almost in half and then just kept them on as like guest stars. So there's that going on. But the one thing to take away from it, I'm going to just assume that most of us here are not on series regular level yet. Maybe you've booked some co-stars, maybe you booked a guest star, which is great. Guest star is kind of like this vague term that can apply to a fairly small role or a fairly big role in an episode.
And
Abby, whatever they want.
Let me throw this out. An agent can bump up a co-star to a guest star if they negotiate.
Negotiation.
They
Absolutely.
can say, look, I want this credit. We're not going to ask for more money, but I want the credit. So that means you'll be on the front of the episode and not at the tail end as a girl with hot dog.
But what it does mean is that there are more opportunities actually for co-star and guest star. It's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes down. But someone asked a question early on about, is there any way to find agencies who specialize in co-star? Not really, because it's just going to be TV in general. But know that co-stars are the first real thing, past background to be going after, and co-stars can be anything. So it's really the great entry point into TV, and you need to go after it. So but knowing the time, like that's what I was bringing up, is that we are in a weird time right now. So if you were having that conversation with your agent about like not getting auditions, yeah, you can say, I understand it's a weird time right now, but again, leaning on that talent report is going to be clear of, are they feeding you a line, or is there some truth to it? And just to have an honest conversation with it.
Sometimes, Abby, I think people don't really realize what is a good audition ratio. There are clients that have agents that are really well connected. They go out 3 times a week. And sometimes more. It could be one a commercial, one for 2 or 3 for co-stars, for theater. But that's not odd to go out at 3 or 4 times a week with auditions.
Yeah.
So the other thing about, I know I saw that question about who handles co-stars. Every agent, no matter how small or beginner they are, wants co-stars. They know that they can get that, because do you know what? A co-star, and believe this about your talent, every one of you are right now bookable as a co-star, because basically what that is you showing up being you, and you have the technique and skills to be able to memorize those lines and say them naturally 20 times if they have to, and hit your mark. So every agent knows they can get co-stars, and especially for unique talent types. So that there's no one, no matter what level they are. I actually have an agent that I refer clients to, and this client, she had gotten her a guest star. She doesn't have a lot of client credits on Law and Order, and she didn't respond to her in 2 hours. That she had it. She calling me, Annie, can you get in touch with her? And agents are desperate for co-star, guest star on the networks because it can really be great money for you and them.
Absolutely. And just real quickly back to like the time, and then we're gonna kind of wrap up. I know we're getting a few more questions, but Glenn was saying, and it is a good thing to point as far as like the wheel of the year. This is also historically like showcase season, meaning that a lot of colleges are doing showcases. You know, I think the biggest thing with that is you don't want to be on the tail end of that. It's, especially if you're young. You know, if you're not from a showcase, but you are competing with the people who are in a showcase. You don't want to be after the fact because they're going to fill up their roster with the showcase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
more than anything, you need to actively be going now, and not waiting until, I think a lot of them start now and then through until May and such. So that would, you know, certainly pertain to younger folks. If you're not in that, I don't really see it as being kind of a factor.
Okay.
If it's, they might be, so you're gonna get two different responses. One agent's gonna be like, I'm busy, I can't see anybody until after showcase season, as far as other people. Or you're gonna get people who are like, we're actively looking right now, we're actively working on our roster, so it's a good time. You know, look at, especially if you use our filters to see who's seeking. If somebody says that they're seeking, you know, 18 to 25 and you're 45, don't submit. You know, you got to find, again, you make your list of who's right for you. And just real quickly, someone was asking a question on booking work from backstage. Is that platform still worth it? Big pregnant pause, but it's, if you know the level of auditions that backstage hosts.
Abby, I'm real clear on that. Backstage is a good tool if you're trying to get experience, to get work. They do a lot of student film notices. Just know that unless it's a graduate student, there's a great chance you will not get any tape because they're just not at a level to turn their work around and get it to you. So for experience, I think that the level is more, in my opinion, and what I see with my clients is entry level film TV work, and that you get experience being on the set. But you have to at some point stop doing that level work and not keep on doing it because, oh wow, they want me, it's this. It's not, it's going to keep you this. You're not going to advance your career. There's one thing I wanted to say. The person said 3 and 4 auditions in what market? Your major markets, LA, New York, and Georgia. Those are our 3, and Chicago, because Chicago is a theater town. You could get, we've got a couple of TV shows shooting there, commercials and theater. So know your market. No, if your market is Louisiana, used to have more production than it does right now. There was a time right after Katrina, yeah, you could go on that much. There was that much shooting. It's diminished in its market right now because why? We talked about this the last one. Other people are getting smart, like Oklahoma, and giving big tax credits.
And other people are getting very foolish, like Georgia, and talking about capping their film and TV tax credits.
New
So very
Jersey.
interesting to see what's going to happen there, as they're like, a bill just passed to put a cap on film TV.
New Jersey is back in saying, hey, we're going to take some of the New York work. We're giving big tax cuts. We talked about that this last time. Also know about that. Boston, they're giving tax cuts. So you're going to see, oh, wow, I'm in that area. I'm going to get more opportunity to do it. Philadelphia, the Pennsylvania area is trying to get more of that. And they've had some really big projects in the last couple of years that they were not getting, Pittsburgh included. So again, be in the know. I always say, get in the arena. Don't be in the stands. And for God's sake, don't be in the parking lot. You got to know what's happening in your market. And listen, you can research it, do it yourself. Spend 10 hours, 8 hours a day researching the internet for your market, or, come and try out the up-to-date actor. I don't personally care. All I want you to do is do it and not sit around and complain and not create the career you want. Do you know what I mean? It's all about you.
To you. And that is a great segue. I'm going to put the website one more time in the chat with the discount code, which again will give you a 1 month full access free trial. That discount code is ACS2R4. And that's good for the next month. So until mid-April, it just gives you, and then you get a month once you activate it. And that's for anyone who's new to the platform, meaning you've never had a trial with us or an account with us before. Again, yeah, I echo everything that Annie just said, of that you can do all this on your own. You don't need us. We just try and make it a little easier because it is daunting. There's so much out there. There's so many opportunities, truly, that it is overwhelming. And really, our whole goal with our free workshops, with the Up-to-Date Actor, with everything that we do, is just to give you every bit of information that we can so that you can get specific, you can do your homework, you can be that, in the driver's seat, and then really take some bold action to move your career forward. Don't sit in the wings, as Annie was saying, and God forbid the parking lot. No one's going to care about your career like you are. So do it, and you got to believe. There's too much negativity out there. There's always going to be a reminder of something beating you down. So, I hope if there's anything that you leave with from today, I hope that you feel empowered that you can do it. And I hope you have some actionable steps that you feel to move your career forward, to start that representation campaign. I hope you know how, to kind of start crafting your own list and not your friend's list. Hope you know a little bit more about your type and how to use that, use your training, use your skills, use the things that make you, that, are unique to you. So we could go on and on and on and be here forever, but I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with us this afternoon. And I wish you all the best with your representation career, your representation campaign, and your career in general.
The 3 words I started with, thank you, Abby, you're absolutely right. 3 words I want to remind you of: you are enough, you are worthy, and you are ready. So get off the couch, get doing work an hour to 2 hours a day. Moving forward, try every way possible to get seen, to introduce your talent, to work, to coach, and you will be successful. All the best, everybody. Happy spring. I'm ready for it.
And I'm throwing in just real quickly in the chat, if anyone's interested and feels like they need to have their hand held a little bit, Annie's info on her consultations. She is a career consultator. That's not even a good term, but so her email handle, yes, a consultant. And so you can contact her with any questions if you want to reach out with more specific help with your marketing materials or your cover letters. And if you have any questions pertaining to the Up-to-Date Actor itself, you can email me, and someone will get back to you ASAP. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank Actors Connection. You all are in great shape working with the Actors Connection. I admire them for what they do, and they actually are so eager, like we are, for you to be successful and to give you every tool, every opportunity. So I'm always high on Actors Connection.
Oh, well, thank you. We are always high on you guys. Here, I'm gonna put myself back in here because I'm gonna be a floating head. A disembodied voice on the recording here. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us again, as always. I always learn a ton from